spending the weekend celebrating my grandson Christian's dedication at church.
How was that?
It was wonderful, really
Oh,
nice.
good.
And spending time with family, always a great thing.
Good. Interesting weekend. All the people dressed up in white downtown in the warehouse district on Saturday. It was hot as fish grease, of course.
They also had that in Houston this weekend.
Oh,
So
really?
it's a nationwide thing, White Linen Night.
White linen night. And people were out. They wanted to be seen. Well, y'all was seen. And notice I said y'all. It was something about. I went last year. I didn't go this year. I went last year. So it was, from what I understand, it was a real good night. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. Guess what I did? You ain't gonna believe this. I sat on my phone, which I usually sit on my phone, but I had it positioned wrong. It was on the wrong cheek. And I broke it.
Oh, goodness. I thought he just wasn't answering my calls all day, y'all, but that's okay.
I can't.
I see that now. I see that now.
Oh, you called me yesterday?
I called you all day today.
I couldn't see you call me or anybody else.
So you got a break from my calls today. Good for you.
No, I wasn't. Because Stacy said, here.
Good.
So I had all the rest of the calls that came through. I was
Good.
like, oh, Lord.
Good.
So I've been without a phone since Saturday.
Everybody who thinks Gerod is just ignoring you on the phone, you
Yeah.
may be right, but you also may be wrong this particular weekend.
No, I was ignoring. No, my phone, I could see it ring, but I can't see the numbers. I can't answer nothing. I had no control of and look, I have alarms set on my phone because, when we get ready to leave out of the office to come over here, my alarm goes off to let me know, hey, it is that time. It goes off at 3:00. And I can't even turn the alarm off. So it just kept dinging and dinging and dinging until it just couldn't ding no more. So that, and I did something that you've been telling me to do for the last 2 years. I went and got another phone. I ain't had no choice. So, and then the worst part about it is they said, oh, the phone that you want? Yeah, it won't be in until, I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, you have to order it. So it'll be in some point in time this week. Other than that, we got some other stuff we got to talk about and go through a couple of other things. I was really interested in the hot seat on Channel 6 over the weekend. The mayor did the hot seat, and I was listening to a lot of the things that she was talking about and what she wants to achieve in her goals. I was waiting to hear some other stuff, but, I guess that's later on down the line. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about, when I started talking about this, I guess more so than anything else, this apartment complex that has just lost its all its oomph. I'm gonna wait a minute. I'm gonna wait a minute because it has a couple of more things that I want to bring out. But on the other hand, in New Orleans, I want to say in the lower Ninth Ward, all these folks that are waiting for their funds because their homes were torn up or deteriorating, as that's a good thing to say. And those homes were called the Brad Pitt homes. We've had this conversation several times. And with us having this conversation, I always wanted to make sure that we sit down and go through what we started a long time ago. And that was talking with Ron Austin, the attorney at that point in time who represents them, who has always done a great job with explaining it to us. But I got an attorney that just happens to be sitting right here beside me, so I'm going to stick it to her today. We have allowed Brad Pitt, whether it was his intentions to do well or not, to actually get away with deteriorating homes, and also the way that he structured this thing to make people feel whole, as he says, and trying to put together a home that these folks more than likely, and I'm not talking about anybody's finances, more than likely the homes and how they were designed were homes that these folks could not afford. Now, I'm hoping that you're hearing me when I'm saying, hey, listen, I'm not talking about your finances. I'm not trying to get into all of that. But what was designed was a financial plan that would have all of Brad Pitt's rich friends to donate money to this cluster, you know what. So all your rich friends donates money to the kitty. He holds on, or his folks holds on to the money. You, on the other hand, donate your property, sell your property to them. They raise your house if it's not there anymore anyway because of Hurricane Katrina. And what they end up doing is building you a new house that should be $300,000 or $400,000, and they take the remaining balance of that money. Let's say that the house is $300,000, but your property is now worth $80,000 and $90,000. Let's say $100,000. So now you have a home that you got to pay a mortgage on. Even though that you owned your own property, you're actually donating it to them so that they can use it as collateral so that they can build you a new house. So if you have a $300,000 house and your property was worth $100,000, you now have a mortgage for probably $200,000, right? They build you this elaborate house that's supposed to be economically sound, that has all the different, efficiencies, that's going to keep your power bills down. It's going to make your house economically sufficient for you, eco-friendly. And you're like, okay, cool. So the designers of the house are getting ready to build and build and build. And a lot of folks are like, those are some different looking houses. They still are different looking houses. So you're in it and you're like, yay, we got a new house and we're going to enjoy this house and da 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 da. And then you're walking through the house a little bit later on in its time period. And next thing you know, you got running boards that are coming apart from the house. You have floors that you're putting your foot through. You have outside scaffolding and all the different issues of your porch where you're seeing rotting and deteriorating wood. And you're wondering what the heck's going on because this house is no longer, brand new. It's 10 or 15 years old, but it's falling apart. And you're also noticing some of the homes in the neighborhood that they just basically came in and said, we got to tear this thing down because it is not suitable to live in. The wood in your house is actually crumbling. I'm sorry, on the outside of your house is crumbling. So you start going to the neighborhood association where everybody says, hey, this is the office where we're going to put, all the folks to be able to tell you this is good for you. And if you have a problem with your house and stuff, we have a person working here. So I got a homeowners association with the office right there in the neighborhood. Until you go knock on the door and you find out that nobody's there and that it's closed. And you're wondering what the heck is going on. Then you're hearing somebody from a law office walking door to door, knocking on your door, letting you know that there may be a class action lawsuit against Brad Pitt and his folks. Why? Because all those homes in that neighborhood are deteriorating. Bad wood, bad resources, bad everything. So everybody's trying to get with Brad Pitt and saying, hey, what we're going to do about this? Because you all built shoddy homes. So now you have his association, you have the Make It Right Association, you have Global Green, and you have some other folks as far as the designers that are being sued. And nobody wants to do anything. Well, that's been what, 25 years now? 20 years? 25 years? Yeah. Since they built these homes. And now what's being talked about is they're getting ready to go back to court. Y'all, come on. What are they going back to court for? Because the folks that own these homes didn't get nothing. And they're paying a mortgage on these houses. So you're paying a mortgage on shoddy materials, a shoddy house altogether, and you've been doing so for the past 20 years. Who sound like they got screwed in this one? Again. The people. While everybody else is wandering off, not saying anything, running, including the originator of it, Brad Pitt. Now, Brad, with him being a A1 lister in the movie theaters and in movies, he's already the top earners. The top earners immediately get $20 million. Why not have a $20 million settlement where he can pay for this and get his money back from the folks and he can wait for it? These folks are living in these houses and they are deteriorating pretty bad. I think these folks are owed not only just their homes and their property, but what's the damages? What is the damages to your psyche? What is the damages to your health? What has been the damages for these folks? And why are we so quiet? We talked about it when it first happened, and then it went away. Is it because we don't want to ruin the good name of Brad Pitt? Is it the name of the designer? Is it the guy that's the architect? Is it Global Green? Is it these nonprofits? They had glass, y'all, in the wood. And some of the wood, they said, oh, it's not meant for areas of high humidity. And who designed this? And why? For what reason? And why is this? I think it's an experiment. That's what I think. I think that we end up being the guinea pigs, the gophers, or whatever in these experiments of property, in these experiments of resources, in these experiments of building these homes. Let's see, because I can't tell you another area that they're built looking like this. And these folks are living in the Ninth Ward. Y'all know the reason why we have the Ninth Ward in the first place? Because these folks, mainly African-American black folks, wanted to own homes. And they were redlined and told that they couldn't buy houses in other neighborhoods in New Orleans. So they built their own. These were the longshoremen. These were the men that wanted to have a place for their families to be able to lie their heads. These average homes were somewhere between $80,000 to $150,000. And we took that away from them and their property, because remember, that's two different things. Your house is your property, but your land is your property. And we took that away from them so that they would get a mortgage on these different homes that we were supposed to be building them through the Make It Right Foundation. Making it right made it really wrong, really wrong. And it has been since Hurricane Katrina. Y'all remember we used to ride through there and just look at the bus tours for $75 and ride through and look at how the houses were torn off of their slabs. It didn't donate nothing to them, but all the bus companies made all the money when those homes were torn up because of a flood and because of Hurricane Katrina. And now we're still talking about going back to court because the houses that were built were not good. These homes were shoddy, bad. Again, what are we going back to court for? Pay these people, not only for their property, but pay them for their pain and suffering. Because it's terrible how we are treating these folks. Terrible. All right, we got to take a break. We'll take our first break. We'll come back, have some more conversation in just a minute. Everybody hold tight. It is Monday. And the little girl from Africa, I saw her just walk through the building just a minute, y'all. Dr. Shepard is back from Africa. We'll talk to her too. Everybody hold tight.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
For 5 years, one event has brought our community together around one goal: better health. I'm Judy Morse. Join the Urban League of Louisiana and presenting sponsor Oxnard Health on Saturday, August 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the 5th annual Big Health event at the Ernest M. Morial Convention Center. Enjoy free health screenings, free admission, free parking, and activities for the whole family. The Big Health event. One day, one place, all health.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton. Losing a loved one is tough enough. Do you really want your family dealing with court battles and paperwork on top of it?
Whether you choose a will or a trust, think ahead. Take care of your family. Let them focus on healing instead of headaches. This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. She is back. She is here.
I am.
She's looking all refreshed. Is that a good word?
It is.
Oh, Africa.
Yes, my smile is going from ear to ear.
I said you were not coming back.
I was thinking about not coming back.
Really?
Yes. Every time that I go to Cape Town, I think it's trying to keep me.
Huh.
Switch chairs.
Why you don't want her next year? She look tall? What?
All right, there we go.
So give us some insight. What happened? What had happened was
There's a lot that I can say. Okay, so first of all, I went out there for research, which is different this time.
you hear that, right? Okay.
That's the official
Sure.
narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I went for research.
Okay.
And so the other times that I went out there, the first time I just went and I went to go mainly to Johannesburg and I spent a little bit of time in Cape Town, like a few days.
Okay.
The second time I went, I spent a week in Cape Town because I really love the space. It's gorgeous. And so this time I was able to secure a research grant to be able to go and spend more time and also to conduct research. You
So we
do
can
need a
travel.
research grant, definitely. I wound up getting a research grant with the United Negro College Fund and Mellon. It's a UNCF Mellon grant that I received.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to go to Cape Town and I was trying to extend my research. You know, my research is on settler colonialism and disasters and how it impacts us.
Mhm.
And so my research question was on colonialism and post apartheid South Africa. Because, kind of like the same thing that we say about most colonial situations, is that colonialism continues. And in South Africa, or especially in Cape Town, the difference is so stark between like the colonial conditions, the haves and the have-nots, the whites and the blacks is very stark contrast in terms of like the life conditions and how people are living, the quality of life.
Mhm.
And so in the same vein, they consider that in some ways apartheid hasn't ended. In some ways it has, in some ways it hasn't. And so I wanted to conduct research to ask activists who work on the solutions, how is it that they still experience apartheid and what kinds of things are they doing to combat it? And so I held focus groups with some of the top activists there, water rights activists, farming activists, township activists, so many different people. I also got a chance to speak with somebody in disaster and emergency management there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like the summation of the research. And then I also was able to hit the museums and get more of the official narratives, meet more of the folks who are inside of. I was working with the University of the Western Cape, so meeting scholars there, and then also getting a chance to be able to grab more of their scholarship to understand more about their condition. And then also I feel as though, if you know, inside of my text I talk about how my analysis can be linked to different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was me testing out more of my research in another space.
So did you come up with a conclusion?
Oh yes, I have. I think I still need to process it to be able to put it perfectly.
I think that is totally right. So this time I'm thinking, I'm so glad you said it that way.
Yes.
Because now I think that you got to go back.
Yes.
So you got to write that next grant.
Yes.
And you need a legal professional.
I do. So we can understand more about apartheid law.
Right. And you need to have somebody that's going to be your other eyes.
Agree. I need a videographer.
There you go.
Yes, I agree. We could do a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I see this going so many different places.
Oh, I see it going.
I see Gerard
So-
trying to go so many places. That's what I see right
many
now.
different ways that this could go. Mhm. Yeah. And soon.
And very soon. I think it's very urgent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like tomorrow.
Well, we need some time to write the grant, G.
You got some work to do tonight. Yeah. But that's great, though. I know you had a great time seeing it and being a part of it, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is your second time, though, right?
This is my third time.
Your third time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
At one point, when I went the first time, I told the ladies who I was with, I said, I think this is the most beautiful place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in a few days, one of the other ladies was like, you know what, Cassandra? I think you're right. I think this is the most beautiful place in the world. Something about the ocean and the fact that there's mountains with water and like just the whole vibe of the place is amazing. And so there's these beautiful views. And I also think that that is one of the reasons why it is so central to the colonization of Africa, because it is that gorgeous, because it is central to the global trade networks were stopping in South Africa and using it as a refueling station. And so that made it the prime subject of the prime space for colonization. Also, just to say a little bit more history, they have one of the largest Indian populations outside of India, and they imported slaves from India and East Africa to South Africa. And I don't think that we really talk about that slave trade as much. The slave trade that happens through the East Indian Ocean going into South Africa. So yeah.
So you've been busy.
Oh yeah, I was. I also made time to like chill and relax because here I'm always on the go and filling in and going from place to place. So I did have some time, some downtime, also some time to be able to read and reflect. Oh, also some time to be able to read and reflect and also to meet folks and to be more inside of the space. So I'm very appreciative that I had the time to be able to be there, and I'm so glad that my research was able to be completed while I was there.
It was complete.
Yeah. Well, I mean that
Ain't
area,
supposed to
that
be
aspect,
complete.
that
Don't
stage,
tell
that
everybody
stage,
that's
that stage is complete.
No,
We got to take it to the next
we
stage.
need to start over.
Oh,
That's what it is.
so many unanswered questions.
So did the boys go?
No, they wanted to stay here. They didn't want
They
to
didn't want to go.
No, no, they wanted to be at summer camp
Oh.
with their friends.
That's boy thinking. That's what that is. That's what that is. So what else can we expect from you with that?
Oh yeah. So I for UNCF they're having a conference and I have to present my research at the conference.
Mhm.
So for sure that's that. Part of the research is also going into other articles that I've already started and people have already kind of asked for the research to be published there. So I have some places where it could go. And then my second book is supposed to be around decolonization. And that is really more of the topic that it is that I was exploring there. So you can also expect to see it inside of the second book as it comes out.
When is that coming?
Oh, that is a question.
Oh, okay.
It is a full question. I've already done my dissertation. So we're going to bring it back. Remember my dissertation was over 600 pages.
Yes.
And I had to cut it in half. And so the first half was on colonialism. The second half is on decolonization. So the first half is my first book. So the second half is already written. I just have to edit it and then incorporate new research and update and everything.
All right,
But,
let's bring you home for a minute.
Mhm.
I'm going to put you in a position here where, even though that I know you're up on the news,
I was definitely about to ask you, like, so what did I miss?
you missed a whole lot.
Suzette neck snapped around.
Hold on
It
a
would
minute.
take me days to break down what you have missed.
I was getting ready to move so you could sit here and let me tell you let me tell you when she explained
Just
to you what's
listen
going
to the
on.
past shows over the
Oh.
last few weeks, and you'll get what
I
has
can
happened.
tell you right now, you'd be like, "What? No, say it ain't so."
The way her neck snapped around.
Well, yeah, you missed it. Yeah, if you don't know, you don't want to know. There seems to be, and I'm gonna read this story. We talked about this, but I kind of want to put this colonization and this piece together because what we've seen in areas of New Orleans that, if you go back to the history of New Orleans, one of the things that we know is that the Lower Ninth Ward was designed specifically for black families.
Yes.
And the reason we knew that is because black men that were working on the war, those men that had those jobs that wanted to put their families in homes were denied with redlining, folks saying, I don't want y'all in my neighborhood, NIMBY, a couple of other things that we could go through. So these men used the Ninth Ward as their area to build their own homes to put their families in. And with that being said, it was a thriving community until Hurricane Katrina. But we also saw that, there were less resources being put out there because, I can put ... after that because. Why? What are you saying? What they don't use the same stores as we don't have the same grocery stores. We don't have Lowe's. We don't have these different things that we could put in the community. Why? ... So after Hurricane Katrina, Brad Pitt and the Make It Right Foundation came in and said, we're going to rebuild these homes. Now,
Right.
I'm probably putting a little bit more into this because I walked that area. When Hurricane Katrina happened, I was one of those guys in the Tyvek suits that had to go out there with them boots, them gloves, and on that, and pull them bodies out of there.
Oh, gee.
I saw a whole bunch of stuff I should have never seen.
I didn't know that you did that.
I thought you knew.
Mm.
Yeah, I had to go out there with the first responders.
Wow.
I saw the mud that's 2 feet thick in somebody's living room that you can't walk in because you don't know if the snakes are in there. Or seeing those homes moved off their foundations and seeing somebody's feet sticking from underneath it because they got crushed. So it was personal to me to see these people say, we're going to rebuild y'all and we'll make you better.
Well, that's you mean we make it right? Okay.
So when Brad Pitt walked through for the cameras,
Yes.
and we were out there,
Yes.
and him walking through with the hair and taking pictures and hugging on folks and talking to people about, we got rich friends,
Yeah.
that are taking their money and putting it in this kitty where we're going to rebuild your house,
Yes.
make it bigger, make it stronger,
Make it right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw the designs of these homes,
Yes.
and we were like, that's a little different.
Uh-huh.
And then we're finding out as time goes through that these homes are falling apart
Mm-hmm.
because of shoddy, I don't want to say because of shoddy workmanship, but because of shoddy materials.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different entities that went along with that. There was the architect who said that he didn't do nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the builders that came through Global Green that said that they didn't do anything wrong. And the only person that has been quiet in this and hasn't said anything is Brad Pitt himself.
Mm-hmm.
Got the heck on out of here and hadn't been back since. Or if he has, he ain't making too many announcements that he's in town.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to the attorney, this had to be at least 2 or 3 years ago, about what are you going to do for these folks? You know, these folks are actually walking through their homes and falling through the floor because of rotten wood.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing all of these different things happening to these houses because of bad materials. So Global Green was supposed to be the builders.
Mm-hmm.
They filed bankruptcy. They got out. They shut down the homeowners association out there. They shut down everything. And my whole point to them has been, well, what are you doing about the people that you didn't build these houses for free?
Mm-hmm.
They signed their property rights over to you so that you could take it. You could take all this, I guess, all of my property along with, me signing the paperwork and saying, okay, cool. How much is it worth? And you put it toward the cost of how much it puts this new house up. So if you build me a house that may be assessed at $300,000 or $400,000, you're taking my property and deducting it from the cost.
Right.
Plus, you have money from all of these rich folks that have donated millions that you're putting toward it too. So what am I doing? I got a mortgage now because I got a brand new house.
Right.
Okay. But I'm paying for a house that's falling apart. There have been a couple of them they just had to tear down that was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're saying Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation, it's going back toward court now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read you the story. It's actually in Hoodline for all those that want to see it. Brad Pitt's troubled Lower Ninth Ward housing project is heading back toward court, with homeowners seeking to move their long-running fight over rot, mold, and structural damage into a class action. The next hearing could determine whether residents can pursue claims together instead of being forced to battle over the deteriorating houses one by one. The television station is reporting that a class certification hearing is scheduled for next Monday in New Orleans. The lawsuit was filed in 2018. It alleges that the Make It Right homes were built with materials and designs poorly suited to the Deep South, leaving some homeowners dealing with severe damage after paying roughly $150,000 for those properties. The complaints go beyond the peeling paint and an unfortunate repair bill. Homeowners attorney Ron Austin said residents have reported being unable to use their restrooms or invite guests over, while also being blamed for not knowing how to care for their homes, according to the television's report. Make It Right was created after Hurricane Katrina to build affordable, sustainable homes in the Lower Ninth Ward. The project produced more than 100 homes, many marked as environmentally friendly and sold below construction costs, but residents later reported water intrusion, mold, rotten wood, electrical problems, plumbing failures, poor ventilation, and documented by the Guardian newspaper. Pitt remains personally involved in the litigation, though the case has not established that he or the foundation is liable for the alleged defects. In an April ruling, the Louisiana Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal vacated a lower court decision that had found two insurers owed no duty to defend or indemnify Pitt, saying the pleadings raised possible coverage for claims involving property damage, mold, air quality problems, and emotional distress, according to the appellate court's decision. Let me stop right there. You hearing this part?
Yeah, I'm actually reviewing the record of the case
Mm-hmm.
while you are talking. But you had a question about that?
Yeah, what does that mean? Can you explain that part,
Yes.
what it's saying?
So insurance policies have provisions in them that might bar recovery for certain claims. It is widespread that in the housing industry, the insurance policies may have a mold exclusion in them, which means that they do not cover mold claims of any origin. You have to artfully plead that it's a water intrusion issue and not necessarily mold in order to get around those kinds of provisions in insurance contracts. I have not read the actual motion, but I would assume that that's what they're talking about, that there may not be coverage for the kinds of claims that are brought in this suit.
We are talking about an area that was just water.
Well, also, yeah, but also you're talking about an area that is very hard. He's left with my problem I had in landfill. The only difference is I already had a judgment. I had already tried the landfill case before Hurricane Katrina came through. He's got the situation of, was the damage caused by the flood or was the damage caused by deplorable housing stock? That's the issue he's got. Ninth Ward had 13, 14 feet of water in some places. These houses were completely underwater.
Right.
So are you alleging that the damage was caused? How can you prove at this point that the damage was caused by the defect in the construction versus the hurricane?
Because these homes
they
were
new.
not there.
Right. They got completely knocked down. Right. The old home was
The old
completely
home was
removed.
not right. So that got raised. These are brand new.
These are
They were
brand new
built in
homes.
2008
after
Yeah.
Hurricane
after
Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So with that being said, it made me ask the question, how do they say that this is, something that they need to debate when this was not there in the first
It
place?
could be the language of the insurance policy
Right.
itself.
The actual liability, like who's responsible. But also, can we take a step back? Because the last that I remember of this case, they had the lawsuit paid out. The settlement was agreed upon. It was like
20.5
$20.5
million.
million.
Right.
That's correct.
And Global Green was supposed to cover it. So what you
Correct.
just said is Global Green went under.
Yep.
And so now they can't cover it. So now the homeowners are still pursuing Make It Right because somebody now needs to make good on this settlement.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, that should take place. that should happen.
But to say that you've been through this in a court decision before and the person or the entity that was supposed to take care of it, Global Green, walks away?
Yeah, but
I don't think
what
they
happened
did not
with
have
their
a trial
insurance?
on liability. They reached a settlement.
Oh, right.
Okay, there
Uh-huh.
was no liability trial. They reached a settlement. That's different. There's been no finding of liability on the part of any defendant in this case.
Okay, so wait. So if they reached the settlement and the settlement was against Make It Right, correct? And then Global Green was supposed to come in on Make It Right's behalf
Right.
and cover it. So shouldn't the settlement against Make It Right still stand?
I haven't seen the settlement documents.
Okay. We'll have to get our attorney to look it over.
So let me
You
go.
know, based upon the reported status of the litigation, Make It Right remains and identified as a defendant in the case, alongside Brad Pitt and potentially other responsible parties. The failed 2022 settlement did not terminate the case after Global Green failed to provide the promised $20.5 million, and the court allowed the homeowner's claims to continue. Now, on August the 10th, the posture of the case is there is a class certification hearing to determine whether or not the homeowners get to proceed as a class or whether they're going to have to file individual lawsuits against these defendants and proceed as a mass consolidation of claims.
Yeah, just you asked me something about the colonial nature of this, and I would just say that part of my analysis would be that this is what happens when you have people come into an area that they're not familiar with and just start building stuff and think that they know what is best. Like
But that's not the case.
For example, they used untreated wood
Right, but
on some of the homes, and so that's showing not knowing having a good handle over what building structure should be inside of this space.
Okay, so
because
let me
they
go
use
back.
they use contractors from the outside, correct?
No,
and builders.
Global Green did, but the designers are from here. The people that design these homes are from here. You know what wood stock you need in the first place.
The architect was John C. Williams.
Yes, he's from here. This is not somebody that's from, Connecticut. These folks are here. You all know better than this.
So then what's the deal with that? Using
everybody's in
building
denial.
materials.
Everybody's in denial. And I'm like, no. How can you be in denial when you're the one that designed the home?
I also think that this has to do with not prioritizing, and also the state not having a strong hand in prioritizing the rebuild of the Lower Ninth Ward. Because inside of my book, I kind of talk about the fact that people then have to, inside of a mass situation where this entire area is completely devastated, destroyed, and dilapidated, the state doesn't come in and prioritize those people coming back. And we know that the rebuilding funds went to other areas when the Lower Ninth Ward should have been one of the first prioritized. They actually were the area that was put on.
This was supposed to child.
That was supposed to be green dotted. Well, first we have to go back to the fact that they didn't even want people in that area to come back.
Well, that's
that
second.
shows.
That's second. I mean, this is the area that flooded first.
Right. It is the hardest hit community by Hurricane Katrina, and it should have been prioritized as that.
Yeah.
But because they didn't, and they decided that they wanted to eliminate the community, and then they made it so that people would have to come back of their own volition, and they would have to fight their insurance companies. They would have to fight for the ability to come back. Then we wind up in areas where people take dilapidated materials, these kind of like beneficent organizations that come out. And we've had other problems with other beneficent organizations and flawed building materials,
All right, let's take a break here. We'll take a break. We'll open up the telephone lines as well. 504-582-9422. That's 504-582-9422. More coming up, y'all.
Hello, friend. Tavis Smiley here with a special announcement. You can catch my show at a new time, weekdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Same great topics, same great guests, same great conversations, just a little earlier in the day. It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays 1 to 4 p.m. only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
Step back into time and experience the moments that shaped our world at the National World War II Museum. This world-renowned museum brings history to life, telling the stories of the American experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. From immersive exhibits to powerful personal stories, this is more than a museum. Go to nationalww2museum.org and plan your visit today.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
I'm Wendell Pierce. Thanks for making WBOK your station. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Monday, and we are in the building, y'all. We got, let's see, the doctor on one side.
Yes.
She's back from Africa.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Did you do that while you were over there?
No, I didn't. I let them
I'm
do
so
it.
glad you didn't.
I let them do it.
Yes, indeed. And, of course, we got the attorney extraordinaire, Suzette Bagnaris, is in the building. Doc, are you hearing? Because I'm listening to Suzette and some of this. You were doing a comparison. Can you go back to where you were before the break?
I was saying that because I think about other beneficent organizations and just beneficent endeavors, period, that wind up filling in as people are trying to piecemeal their rebuild because they did not have sufficient support and prioritization in their rebuild. So as we know, whenever we talk about this, Mr. Gallman calls up and he'll tell us about the money that went to fix St. Charles Avenue. And we already know that that money didn't go to help fix the lower Ninth Ward.
Mm-hmm.
So we know, and from also this being my study, I know a lot of homeowners who wound up getting things like toxic drywall because of the fact that there was low quality toxic Chinese, they call it Chinese drywall.
Didn't you get some? Oh, I thought you got some too. I'm sorry.
And they wound up having to rebuild their home several times over. Now, somebody who I know, then when they received the building materials, they knew other people needed them, and so then they helped and distributed them through churches and stuff like that, so that once someone got contaminated building materials because there was a low quality of oversight, then that means that various people throughout the community would wind up with low quality building materials. So I think that this is the type of thing that happens when people have to piecemeal together their rebuild, as opposed to it being prioritized as this was the hardest hit community. This community has to come back, and we're going to go block by block to make sure that it takes place. We didn't see that. We saw the lower Ninth Ward get completely disregarded. And the people who are down there now, if you go talk to them, then they'll tell you about how they had to fight in order to be able to come back. And so at the time, people thought that Make It Right was a beneficent way to be able to fill those gaps. And maybe it was, and it just went awry. Maybe you had people cutting corners. Maybe they got some of those same bad building materials as well. And now this is all coming back to bite Brad Pitt. I mean, when I first spoke to people who were living down there,
but this ain't biting Brad Pitt.
When I first spoke to people who were living down there who had flawed Make It Right homes, and as time started to erode the buildings, then what they would say is things like, well, we're happy the fact that he helped us to be able to get this place to stay, but now we have all of these other issues. And I know that some homeowners didn't even want to have to take it to court. They really just wanted Make It Right to come in and fix whatever it is that was messed up and make the repairs and let that be that. But it's a shame that they've had to go to court behind this because Make It Right won't step up just to be able to fix things. People said that they would be able to get more money and get their homes repaired if Make It Right just came out and paid. They didn't even want to have to do a lawsuit because the lawsuit means you're going to wind up getting less.
And they're not paying.
And they're not paying.
Well, let me just say this. I've done a little research in the record now, and the settlement fell apart because the $20.5 million was never there. Global Green announced that it would fund relief for lower Ninth Ward homeowners, but it apparently intended to raise the money on the back end through fundraising efforts using Brad Pitt as the lead after the deal was announced. Brad Pitt's representatives say that they were told the money had already been secured. Global Green reportedly expected Pitt's celebrity to help raise the money, and the fundraising failed. The homeowners received nothing, and the litigation resumed. After everything these families had already endured, they were handed another promise without any money behind it. So the $25 million thing never really existed. The $20.5 million thing never really existed. So now you're left with litigation that will continue against two Louisiana entities that probably don't have any money. Make It Right New Orleans, LLC, and another Make It Right New Orleans kind of thing, that both of which probably own no assets but the property itself. And then you have still the builders, the architects, those people who are also involved and named in this lawsuit. I don't know how much insurance each of them might have to be able to contribute to some kind of settlement. And then you have the attorney trying to make Brad Pitt personally responsible for the neighborhood being built. And that's going to be very difficult because you're going to have to pierce corporate veils of corporations that were formed to shield him from having personal liability. So it is a very difficult case. But what does one do when they're in the midst of a very difficult case? I mean, you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. This sounds like a real nightmare, though, for the lawyer that is leading the way. But he does have a class certification hearing scheduled before Judge Lori Jupiter on August the 10th. And
I gotta ask you a question because you said something before this, which you said it off mic, but it made me look at you. I think Dr. Shepard did the same thing because you're reading the lawsuit and you said the payout in this lawsuit, if they won, was only $25,000.
Yeah, so that would have the $20.5 million would have broken down to $25,000 to each homeowner to go towards the repairs that they had already made on their homes, and then the rest would be divided among them based upon the severity of their damages. Is the way the settlement read, or the way the settlement was intended. Now, it was a partial settlement. Let's be fair. You know, I'm sure that after Attorney Austin would have concluded the settlement with them, he still had other defendants that he could have continued to pursue, and he could have leveraged the fact that he had gotten a settlement with one major defendant against the others to try to make the dominoes fall. That is not an uncommon practice when one is handling complex litigation like this. The other defendants in the case are the Make It Right Foundation, the big one, Make It Right New Orleans LLC, which probably don't have a pot nor a window. Make It Right New Orleans Housing LLC, which probably has no pot, no window. Brad Pitt, various officers, directors, and board members who are connected to Make It Right entities, such as Thomas Darden III, Jim Fogelman, S.H. Fogelman, Tanya Harris, LaToya King, Maurice Coleman, and 50 unidentified architects and contractors. It is very difficult to hold a board member of any LLC or corporation personally responsible and liable, and to be able to get money from them individually. You would have to show that that board member did something wrong, and that's very difficult to do. There are two insurance companies that I see in this case. One is First Mercury Insurance Company. The other is TIG Insurance Company. And Pitt has filed third-party claims seeking defense and indemnity from those insurance companies, and we don't know what the value of those policies are. typically, my experience in handling construction litigation as of late, particularly this Hard Rock Hotel collapse, is that architects and general contractors don't tend to have a lot of insurance. Architects tend to carry like $1 million, $2 million, and it depends. General contractors sometimes only have $1 million. So
I thought general contractors had to have at least $5 million in insurance.
It depends. It depends on what they're doing. Like if they're a subcontractor and they're only doing like the plumbing or the flooring, they may not have a big policy.
Wow.
So this is going to be very difficult for him to find the money, to chase the money. And that, hopefully once he gets it certified as a class, if he's successful, that will give him some leverage to be able to engage in some serious settlement negotiations with the remaining defendants.
All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We'll have more conversation with you in just a few minutes. News is up next, and we'll go to the phones.
Campus of Xavier University. WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. Big news from Cuba as 10 million people are without electricity this morning after their national power grid completely collapsed. The sudden island-wide blackout followed a severe regional outage that had already wreaked havoc in some sections of the island. Officials say the crisis has now plunged the entire country into darkness. Meanwhile, stateside Spokane, Washington remains under a major threat from wildfires. Officials say hundreds of structures have already been completely destroyed, and thousands have been ordered to evacuate the area. 3 separate fires have broken out near the city, none of them contained at all, reports say. As we've been reporting to you today, President Trump says talks in Iran will resume, and that reportedly is today. New airstrikes on Iran were halted ahead of the planned talks, although there's no disclosed location. Get BIN News Now 24/7 on the free iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, T-Bone, what you say? T-Bone? Okay, he'll call us back. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little confused. Or was this set and put in place to confuse folks? Because they didn't want to take the blame, so let me put this on this person or this group, and this group, while you're running after this group, we'll go over here.
We're not at a blame stage.
No, I'm not saying to blame. I'm saying just trying to say, who got the money to pay these people out? And if all you're getting out of $20.5 million that they agreed to it, it is somebody's got to take some type of blame because that nobody had the money.
It doesn't matter if they were getting. It doesn't matter if they were getting 25,000 or 25 cents. They never had the money to pay it out in the first place, so it doesn't matter.
How did we get to the point where we say, okay, $20.5 million is there, and this is how we're going to move forward? When $20.5 million was never there.
It was never there. Apparently, in the settlement negotiations, Global Green must have, and this is my assumption, must have misrepresented the fact, I'm assuming, to Ron Austin, that they had $20.5 million to put up. However, their plan was to raise the $20.5 million after they had a settlement confected, which is bizarre to me. How could that be? Bizarre to me. But nonetheless, that is what I'm understanding from the documents. And then Pitt said, I never agreed to be the face of your fundraising effort, refused to participate in the fundraising effort. The money was never generated. Therefore, the money could never be paid out. But to me, I'm not announcing that I have a settlement to the public until I have a signed memorandum of understanding and money deposited in a trust account.
Right.
Waiting to be dispersed to these people. I mean, that is just bizarre to me. It puts you in a very bad position to have gone public with I have 20.5 million to give out, and then you don't have that money. It's a very precarious situation.
I'm sure it would make him look worse too if then he was trying to fundraise to be able to pay off the lawsuit. You know? So it kind of like doesn't surprise me that then he wouldn't take place in part of Global Green's fundraiser to raise the funds, because people would be like, "You're Brad Pitt. Why are you asking us?"
But he was standing up in front of the podium saying, "Thank God for Global Green."
Yeah,
Look.
he said, "Thank God for Global Green stepping in to take care of this." And that's the way that he was able to evade responsibility for himself. He's like, "We're happy to move
So I
forward."
guess my question would be, I mean, you can answer this part because I don't know. Who does it really make look bad? Is it Brad Pitt or is it the law firm?
I tell you who gives a headache to the lawyer, because he's getting the calls from the 150 families who have retained him to represent them. It put him in a very bad position to have to explain to these people there's no money. I'm in the same situation in landfill.
With landfill.
Right.
The city of New Orleans promised to pay the judgment, and then the city of New Orleans is backing out of the agreement to pay the judgment. Those people are calling me. They're not calling the city like they should be calling. They're calling me.
And
you know that.
we
You get those calls
calls
every day.
Yeah.
So I do feel
have to answer.
bad for this attorney having to field these 150 calls, families' calls, but at the same time, I don't know how you got to a point where you publicly announced a settlement without confirmation that the funding was going to be delivered to the registry of the court or a trust account to pay the claims. They had no money to deposit. So I don't even know why we're talking about a $20.5 million settlement. There was none. It's kind of confusing because nobody's paid these people a dime. Where we are right now is that after Hurricane Katrina, Brad Pitt came to New Orleans with cameras, celebrity friends, famous architects, and a promise he was going to, quote unquote, make it right. And at that time, many people welcomed him. He was all over the news.
And he
We
didn't
all
have to
saw
do
it.
that. He did not have to. There was nobody holding a gun to his head
No.
saying do this.
But that's the reason why I feel like people didn't want to have to take him to court. Like even though he had done that, I spoke to a lot of people who did not want to have to take Brad Pitt to court. They would rather Make It Right had just fixed their homes one at a time or went back and went over their work, you know, as opposed to what ultimately winds up happening is that they then have to take Make It Right to court. But they really didn't want to do that at first. They just were not getting
But
responsiveness.
they took these
from
people's
getting
insurance money.
He was a hero to them.
But he took these people's
You're
insurance
saying
money.
he. I'm sure Brad Pitt was at nobody's office accepting doing any of this paperwork.
I'm telling you that this is how it was explained.
I think
That's all I'm saying.
I think they made him the face
And you're
of the project.
face of it.
The face of the
he's
project.
the face of the project. I think he's the brainchild or the person who thought it all up and was the face. And he probably entrusted other people to take care of the other business.
I think he had a philanthropic motive.
Yes.
And I think his mind and heart were in the right place. But as most celebrities do, they brainchild it and then they move away from it.
Yeah.
And other people implement their brainchild. Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
The lower Ninth Ward had been devastated. Families had lost homes that had passed from one generation to another. 59% of them at Hurricane Katrina's point owned those homes.
Right.
They weren't renting. And government recovery, as we all know from being here, was painfully slow. So when an international movie star with an international platform said he wanted to help rebuild the neighborhood with safe, affordable, environmentally sustainable homes, people jumped at that chance and they believed him. I don't think he foresaw, I'm going to use cheap materials and cut corners and blah, blah, blah. That wasn't Brad Pitt's involvement.
Right.
His involvement was, hey guys, I got this philanthropic idea. I'll be the face of getting it going. But you know, he didn't stick one floorboard down in any of these houses.
But also that makes me think about Global Green too, because I know what Global Green initially after the storm, people were thinking that at least homeowners were thinking that they were going to make the lower Ninth Ward one of the greenest communities in all of America. And so that was one of the reasons that they wound up receiving solar panels, and some people wound up with bad deals behind their solar panels. But also, Global Green was part of that initiative of making the Lower Ninth Ward a green community, one of the most green communities in all of America. And so that makes me also look at them like, how is it that you wound up picking up the lawsuit behind shabby building construction and reneging on it?
It's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, to convince a jury that Brad Pitt had any personal responsibility for picking any of the building materials utilized to build these homes, had any personal involvement in design, construction, or any of that. Homeowners are reporting water intrusion, mold, rotting wood, defective ventilation, electrical problems, plumbing failures, and serious structural deterioration. I get that. But their claim may lie with the contractor and the subcontractors who performed that work and supplied those materials, and some of the suppliers of the materials. That might be a better route for trying to get some recovery for these people than trying to go after Brad Pitt. I just don't see you being able to persuade a jury that Brad Pitt purchased plumbing material, that Brad Pitt purchased electrical supplies, flooring, or any of that. He didn't do any of that. You can sell a jury on the fact that some general contractor or subcontractor utilized substandard materials, and you can sell a jury on the fact that some supplier provided substandard materials. A jury will understand that. But when you start trying to make it sound like it was all Brad Pitt, you lose the jury. Juries are going to look at common sense, and it's just not common sense to think that an international celebrity swung a hammer in the Ninth Ward.
Unless they got like pictures of him in the house.
I mean, he might have swung one just for a picture.
Just for the photo op.
But other than that, I mean, he's not going to do that. So I think they need to shift. In my opinion, I think the strategy, the litigation strategy, needs to shift to go after the general contractor, the contractors, the architects, the engineers, and the subcontractors and suppliers. And
their insurance
companies. Because they all have their own insurance. They have to be able to perform on these jobs. I can tell him from recent experience, y'all will hear about it on Friday.
Oh, Lord.
That it is very easy to start stacking those dollars up from each of those layers to get to a big pot of money.
Yep.
But you have to work your way through it. You first try to settle with the general contractor. Then you use the leverage from settling with the general contractor to go after the subcontractors, because the subcontractors probably have indemnity agreements where they indemnify and hold, and have to also do an additional insured agreement with the contractor. So then you use the contractor's claims against the subs to get the subs to settle. And then after you get the subs to settle, then you go after the suppliers. It has to be a layered, strategic approach. And each time you peel away a layer of the onion, you're stacking money from the insurance companies from each of those layers until you end up with a big pot of money.
And then
and then you spin it. I'm going to be spinning on Friday. I'm just telling y'all, it's a better strategy, in my opinion, than trying to get Brad Pitt to pay this. I just don't see that.
I hope their lawyer is listening. You just gave him the whole strategy. I hope he was listening today.
It's a tried and true strategy. I've seen it work. I know it can work.
And she working it.
Yeah, I hear that.
And if he follows the path, the layers, you put them in categories, and then you go after them like that, and you peel off the additional insured and insured dollars until you stack your chips into something nice for these people. I think that is a better, more realistic plan than trying to make Brad Pitt the face of the problem.
Right. Galloway.
What's going on, Brother Gerod?
You the man.
Now you got the lawyer in there and you got the doctor up in there.
I can go home.
Yeah, because they ain't doing nothing but making you look smart.
Eh?
But anyway,
Making me look smart or making me look the other way?
making you look smart. You know how to have the right people up in there.
They say you don't have to be smart. Just have the right people that are smarter than you to give you the answers.
I know. That's how I graduated college. My wife did all my homework, all 4 years.
What you
That's
got
how
there?
I got my degree. Hey, but check it out. The counselor, she gave the strategy. That's what I was thinking about. The contractors. I can remember when I was rebuilding my house down in the 6th Ward. They tried to sell me that cheap Chinese stuff. I'm talking sheetrock, lumber, anything that came from China. It was so much cheaper than actually buying the wood from Canada. See, most of the wood that we build our houses with in the United States come from Canada. So if your house wasn't built with that wood and you took a chance on that cheap Chinese stuff, which those contractors most likely did because it was cheaper for them, but they still was going to charge whoever, Global Green, Bad Tent, and those folks really don't matter, but they don't get the blame. But she's right. Get with those contractors, those subcontractors, all those people who got paid for building trash. Because if I'm not mistaken, those houses started being demolished in 2020, right?
Yep.
Some of those houses.
Yeah,
it was that bad off.
And you can expect, a contractor, even a subcontractor, to carry $1 million per occurrence, $2 million in the aggregate, and they may have an umbrella policy that may be, another $1 million or $2 million. You start stacking $4 million from each defendant, and you may end up with a good pot to be able to settle with people.
If all that failed, y'all can just tell Helena to go sit on Gail's lap and y'all get that money that way. But anyway, Doc, when you went to Africa, you say you went to South Africa?
Yes.
Okay, did you see that what's been reported to us that watch international news is the South Africans are trying to run Nigerians and other black Africans out of South Africa? Is that true?
So yes, but I was there during the time. I don't know if you know this, G, but they gave a deadline that immigrants had to be out of the country. Okay, so the deadline was June 30th. And what they were trying to do was to make it so that illegal immigrants had to get out of the country. Now, by all estimates, there might be about 5% of the country of South Africa that is immigrants and illegal immigrants. And so it's a very small percentage. Additionally, there are other political issues that are happening in South Africa, and they have located that one of the organizations that was calling for the immigrants to leave was actually funded by another country that has been funding other people to do other things. So, for example, if we said that Israel was funding March to March, which is the large organization that was trying to get immigrants to leave the country, so that there is outside political influence behind what it is that you see.
The PACs here, they're funded by Israel.
Okay, so there is some shadow funding that's going on, and also they're trying to make Native South Africans turn on people who are their neighboring countries. Now, it's important because in the Western Cape where I was at, that Trump is also saying that there's a white genocide in South Africa where there is none. But inside of the Western Cape, the settlers there want to liberate the Western Cape. So what they're basically saying is that they want to secede that area from South Africa and make it its own independent country. So what they're trying to do is play Africans against each other so that if at any point they actually do have to fight a war against settlers inside that space, they won't actually have help from their neighboring countries because they've kind of isolated them. And additionally, it's kind of easy to be able to pick at the illegal immigrant that's also inside the township. It's quite harder to go after the 85% of white people, the 12 or so percent white people who own 85% of the land. That is a different a different scale issue. And so what the people who were in some of the townships and areas said is that they found that their hospitals are overcrowded and sometimes there's illegal immigrants, that their schools are overcrowded and so sometimes they can't send their kids and there's illegal immigrants at the school. But what it seems to be is a competition over small amounts of resources without looking at who's actually making the most money. I'm going to just say Julius Malema, who's part of the EFF, said during that time that instead of trying to chase out the immigrants, what you need to do is go march down to the mines and take the mines back. And if you take the mines back, then you'll have your country back and also the resources. And lastly, I'll just say South Africa has about 32% unemployment. Wow. It's one of the second country with the highest unemployment in the world. And so you could understand why there would be tension around jobs. And what Julius Malema was saying is that instead of getting people to compete over jobs, you need to go after the resources that structure the entire economy. And that's a whole nother conversation.
I met Julius back in when the World Cup was in South Africa. That's when his song was like real popular, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. Yeah, so he's pretty much on it, man. And I'm going to say this, man, before I get off here. Man, I want to give a shout-out to Xavier. You are the ranked number 4 private HBCU in the nation. And
Let's
you ranked number 6 out of all HBCUs total.
Let's go.
For the pre-med and the pharmacy graduates. Y'all lead the nation when it comes to black people graduating from those 2 programs. So shout out to Xavier.
Ring my bell over there, Suzette. Ring my bell for me, please. Right, it's in front of your computer right there.
Don't worry about
Just
that.
ding, ding, ding. Okay, there we go.
Oh, Lord.
There we go. Thank you.
Give Dr. Shepard her bell.
I'm going to give it to her. Right?
We got to go ahead and give it up for Xavier for Black Excellence. Thank you for reporting those important numbers.
All right.
And that just makes me, before I get off, Gerard, let me say this. It makes me wonder, hey, New Orleans, if you have the number 1 leading HBCU with these types of graduates, what are you doing to retain those people to work and live into New Orleans? Thank you, brother. Have a good day.
All right, Galloway. Yes, indeed. We got to take a break. We'll take a break. We'll come back and have some more conversation in just a few minutes here.
Why you confiscating my bell?
Because you're ringing too hard. More coming up, y'all.
I was excited.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
In nearly 50 years of covering Louisiana's justice system, I have never witnessed the indictment of a sitting state attorney general by an Orleans Parish grand jury or by a grand jury in any other Louisiana parish. That was big news. Then came even bigger news. All of the charges were dropped by the special prosecutor assigned to oversee the case. Former Judge Lori White, the special prosecutor, says she dropped the indictment against State Attorney General Liz Murrill because New Orleans Mayor Helena Moreno and other city officials urged her to do so to ease tensions between the city and state. The mayor offered a peace sign asking Governor Jeff Landry to meet so they could resolve their differences. Landry said no, not until the city gets things in order. Requesting that the AG charges be dropped was another peace sign. Landry still said no, thank you. Landry and Murrill have no interest in being friends with New Orleans leaders. I understand not wanting to be friends with people who you think want you to be put behind bars for 80 years. The circumstances and the players are different, but what we have here is the latest chapter in a long history of the bruising political wars between the state and the city. It's not good for the city or the state. Who knows how this latest drama will play out? What matters is whether this legal grudge match helps citizens who want leaders who will improve their quality of life. Now, this unfortunate drama is damaging our state, our city, our judiciary, and our chances for more economic development. It boils down to this. It's a cartoon with characters bashing each other, and it's not funny. We deserve better. This is Norman Robinson. Off the top.
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Step back into time and experience the moments that shaped our world. At the National World War II Museum, this world-renowned museum brings history to life, telling the stories of the American experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. From immersive exhibits to powerful personal stories, this is more than a museum. Go to nationalww2museum.org and plan your visit today.
This invitation goes out to all of us unworthy sinners who's been saved by the grace of God, where you and I are only made worthy by the blood of the Lamb and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We're FIJTC, Faithers in Jesus the Christ. My name is Mr. Rocky. You can tune in to WBOK 1230 a.m. Sunday mornings from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Hope to see you there.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-571-9955. That's 800-571-9955. 800-571-9955.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Hit him with a stiff arm.
Sometimes you gotta do that.
Oh, Lord, I'm so glad I wasn't there.
Right, exactly.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. I'm talking to Muhammad Ali's daughter. T-Bone, you still there?
Hey, y'all.
Hey, man.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
So, first of all, shouts out to the doctor for going to the motherland.
Oh, thank you.
I hadn't been in over 20 years, and I really feel bad about it because my wife is born from Nairobi, Kenya, and we recently lost my mother-in-law in January. So she always wants to travel the world, but I told her, look, you're going to have to put this on the list. It's not right that I haven't seen that half of the family in that long, and I know they're feeling some kind of way. But I tell everybody the same thing when I tell them about Africa. Some of them ask ignorant questions. Some of them ask actual insightful questions about it. All I can tell you is you got to go for yourself and see what it's like. Because if you go and you go with an open mind, you'll come back with your mind opened. You feel me? You feel me?
I do.
All right. So, with that said, I want to ask, and I'm going to listen in because I'm not in my car. I'm on the phone. I want to know, with all that said, counselor, what about this this program that Moreno had dangled about selling lots in the Ninth Ward? Are those areas tied up in this litigation you guys are talking about? Is it a situation where, you know, people had those lots, those properties seized because they had been dilapidated for so long, or are these other ones that she was talking about legitimate? Because I think a lot about doing something like that. You know,
You're talking about the
buying
lot
lots.
next door. You're talking about the lot next door program. That
No,
was
no, no. She said she didn't even say it was the lot next door. She said they were selling. They were looking into selling lots in the Ninth Ward specifically, because it was property that had been sitting since Katrina. Nothing has been done with them, and so they're trying to sell them for dirt cheap. And I'm still trying to find out the info on that, because I'm like, well, if they're dirt cheap, how cheap are you talking? And if it's cheap, why is it so cheap? Are they tied up in succession issues? Are these legitimate green spaces that you can actually build a house on? And what parts of the Ninth Ward? Is it in upper, lower? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get more information on it, but I've been running to dead ends.
The city has said that in the lower Ninth Ward, there are 792 vacant adjudicated properties, and the task force intends to select a smaller group of about 25 lots that can be cleared of title problems and offered together for affordable housing development. Some of the properties, they say, have succession issues, old tax sale liens, and other title defects. But here's my problem with that. In Press Park, there were several homeowners who owned Press Park townhomes. After Hurricane Katrina, the city put a fence around those properties. Hano and the city put a fence around those properties and barred those homeowners from having access to the property they owned. Some of those people could not afford to continue to pay taxes on property taxes on properties they could not access. So would that be included in the number of properties for whom there are outstanding property taxes? You can't
because
bar
that area is considered part of the Ninth Ward, right?
Right. Yeah, right. You can't bar somebody from having access to their property and then expect them to continue to pay property taxes on it and then seize their property when they don't pay the taxes.
Right. And that's what they did.
And that's what they're doing. So, I have a problem with that. I think the important questions for Moreno's administration are which specific parcels have been selected. Will former owners or their heirs receive notice and an opportunity to resolve title problems? Will the lower Ninth Ward residents receive priority to purchase the finished homes? Will the lots be sold at market value, nominal prices, or through development subsidies? What affordable restrictions will prevent investors from coming out there and just scooping up that property that belongs to homeowners? And there's just are these properties included in Press Park?
Right. Because see, that's the thing. When you talk about the Ninth Ward, some people just don't realize, probably because we don't talk the ward system like we used to coming up. But a lot of people don't realize just how big the Ninth Ward is. You're talking about parts of New Orleans East. You're talking about Gentilly. You're talking about areas near Elysian Fields. You're talking about a big area. And really, it's probably the biggest scam there is for them to sit up there and say, oh, we're going to redo the Ninth Ward. And you just do parts of the Ninth Ward, or you sell parts of the Ninth Ward that are supposed to be prime. And you had all that other territory where, like y'all said, historically, you had black people living there that were descendants of those that were veterans of the World War II. And they don't go into none of that. It's like, and that's the problem I'm having with this, because they dangle that carrot in front of people, but then they don't sit up there and give you no details. And then you wonder why people want to leave the city. And by the way, I come from a predominantly black university, Southern University, and you are not doing enough to keep those of us who are great black citizens, educated black citizens, encouraging us to stay in the city, because you're not doing a damn thing to make us want to stay. Yeah. You're not. You're not doing anything great for the IT industry. Not doing enough for the science industry. You're not doing enough for business. And you can't sit up there and say, well, oh, woe is me. Why is this not happening? Well, get off your asses and do something. And I'm going to keep saying that until these politicians, I don't care who gets in office, do something.
I just don't think that there is enough educated folks that are working with the administration, because you don't hear about it. You might hear about it every once in a while. But I just don't think that we have enough scouts, if that's a good word to use, that are going from city to city, industry to industry to find out, what's the big next thing to come other than data centers, because that's not a big that's not a big conversation that we need to have. We know that that's getting ready to take over. But as far as who's holding the keys to these big companies that are saying, I need the space, but I also need the persons that are going to be skilled enough to work there, so that when we do open the door, we can hit the ground running.
But again, that goes back. That goes back to what I've always said, Gerard.
But hear
this
me out
city
on
has
this
done
part.
very bad with
the
it.
part that
Okay,
I'm
go
talking
ahead.
about more so than anything else is the educational part, so that when they do hit the ground running, these folks have already been trained. We already have the personnel that we need because they've been trained. And that's where I think that the corporations, education, and the city have a misnomer. This is not happening good. This is not happening good here.
Well, here's the other problem, Gerard. We still, the state of Louisiana still has the bad rep for economy, for education, for commerce, for technology. Okay, we're at the bottom of the list. There was a statistic, I forgot where it came from, but this was reported on the national news, that we are at the bottom of the barrel again.
Right. Yeah.
We got
on every statistic.
two major government officials who can't get their heads out of their you-know-whats to sort this out and change that for this city. They're so busy bickering back and forth. The city is sitting up there like, well, I don't know what we're going to do. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And all of us educated folks, like the good doctor there, like the counselor there, like yourself, are sitting up there in the middle like, why y'all can't get it together? Why? And we're supposed to keep voting for y'all? We're supposed to be putting taxes in this place? We're supposed to invest, buy property, and plant seeds for trees to grow for our kids to pick up on where we left off? No.
Yeah, I
Get
was going
your
to say.
heads out your butts and do better. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is that we don't have diverse industries. So that the industries that people want for their young people to go into is like oil and natural gas and these things that we already have that are already the reason why we're also nicknamed Cancer Alley. And so we should be doing more, we should be really doing more green building. We should be able to use that Mississippi River to power us. We should be able to do more hydroelectric things. I mean, there's so much chance for opportunity, but it would mean that you would have to change course or at least invest alternatively inside of new ways of being and new industries, and also train the youth to be able to be the people who can lead that. There's no reason why we couldn't have more water-based industries or water-based electricity at least inside of this space, because there's water everywhere. Water is our problem. So it just takes creative thinking.
The old guard who are sitting on the gates for this to happen, for the younger generation beyond just their children to actually help and improve the city, are the gatekeepers that are keeping this from happening. And because they represent the old white green, they are not going to change.
Well,
that's part of the problem.
Can I say that? Can I say something? When you say the old white green, I had bought some money in with Nelson Mandela on it. Okay, just to be able to say there's some old black green around here too. So I just wanted to be able to say that.
But how many shillings or whatever money they use that is? Because we're not talking about one bill, two bills. We're talking about millions of dollars potentially. We're talking about old Metairie money.
Let me put a few people on the spot.
Veterans money.
Let me put a few people on the spot if I could.
There you go.
Okay, so first of all, I think what's happening in the Ninth Ward with the selling of the lots, the seizure of the property, is forced gentrification disguised as redevelopment.
Which we kind of knew she was going to bring in anyway.
Right. The concern is not whether vacant lots should be returned to productive use. They should. The concern is who gets the land, who benefits from the development, and whether we're seizing property from black folk that worked hard to have that property in the first place. We need to look at that.
And that is.
The next thing I want to say is you asked questions about who is out here looking for opportunity for our HBCU grads who are talented to stay in New Orleans. Who is out here scoping out industry? Well, I think the answer to why we're not retaining black folk and why we're not bringing industry that provides for black folk and hires them comes with who's doing the searching.
Right.
So the main entity that is entrusted with leading the hospitality, hotel, restaurant, entertainment, tourism industry, and scoping out business to come to New Orleans is New Orleans and Company. And that organization's current leadership is, the president is CEO Walt Leger III, white man. There are the other people who are on that board are Alice F. Glenn, the executive vice president, who is white. Stephanie Turner, the senior vice president of convention sales and strategies, is white. Kim Priz, the senior vice president of tourism, is white. Kelly Schultz, the senior vice president of communications and public relations, is white. Jeremy Cooker, the senior vice president of marketing, is white. Tammy Bolteler is the vice president of finance. She is white. Brian Walker is the vice president of information technology, white. Sam Joffrey, the event development and production executive, is white. The board members of New Orleans and Company from the Hilton Riverside is David Piscola, white. Bonnie Boyd from BBC Destination Management, white. Gretchen Chase of Chase Hospitality Group, black.
That's the only one.
Stephen Watson of the National WW2 Museum, white. Then you have the Brennans, who are board members, the Burger Company, Royal Sonesta, Brechtel, Arnold's, all those people are white, okay?
All of them.
All of them. And then if you look at it, then you have some people who have been on the board, Edgar Chase, okay, black man. Tiffany Winfrey, she's the president and the CEO of the Louisiana Children's Museum. She's black. And Kevin Dolio, but had a spot. He was the director of aviation for the airport. So when you look at it, look at who is recruiting. Look at who's going out to get business. Look at who is trying to create opportunities for hiring. And who do you think they're marketing to? What do you think they're looking for? And what do you think they're trying to bring back? And who do you think they're trying to give those jobs to? So I think we have a problem. I think we need an alternative to just having New Orleans and Company doing that.
It's got to be diverse.
I think it's got to be diverse. If you want diversity in this city, you want to foster diversity, you want to foster opportunity, and you really do want to keep these talented HBCU grads here, then maybe the city needs to form some kind of task force that is diverse, okay? Tasked with going out and doing that research and making those exploratory contacts and bringing that business back.
But we all know that was never the goal once Katrina hit. They wanted those green spots to be without black folks.
Yeah, you show me who's doing the work out there on behalf of the city, and I think that tells you why we are where we are.
Exactly.
All right, T-Bone, we got to take our break.
All right, y'all. Have a good evening.
All right, let's take the break here. We'll come back. Get the last few minutes in before we call it a Monday. More coming up, y'all. Get your calls in finally at 504-582-9422. More coming up.
WURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has pulled the plug on one of the most controversial pieces of Trump's Justice Department agenda, nearly $1.8 billion fund meant to pay out people who say they were targeted for political reasons. Critics had warned the payouts could stretch all the way to rioters from January 6. Blanche signed the order late Sunday night, ending weeks of tension with two Senate Republicans, John Cornyn of Texas and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who said they would not back his confirmation as Attorney General unless the fund was gone for good. Blanche said his team had reached what he called good faith discussions with lawmakers to get it done. The timing, not a coincidence. The Senate Judiciary Committee votes on Blanche's confirmation today. Killing the fund clears his path. If he approves, he could be confirmed before the Senate heads into its 5-week recess. Trump has defended the fund, telling reporters his supporters deserve to be paid for their, quote, pain. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to all day long.
We are the rhythm of the streets.
The flavor in every day.
The story in every song.
We are New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation.
We help artists build the future of New Orleans.
Because when the culture thrives, our people thrive.
Every note, every brushstroke, every dish is a door opening new possibilities for those who carry our traditions forward. And when we open that door, the whole city moves forward. For New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation, culture is our open door.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Did you hear the news? Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom has a new time. Catch us now every Wednesday at noon. Same program, same great conversations. Just a new time. So catch Dr. Clark's 101 The Living Classroom this Wednesday and every Wednesday only on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
From the East Bank to the West Bank, WBOK is what New Orleans is talking about. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Monday afternoon, she's back. I'm so glad that she's back. Dr. Cassandra.
Thank you, G. I'm happy to be back.
As we have these conversations, and as we get, and I really appreciate you breaking that down. The attorney extraordinaire, Suzette Bagnaris, is also in the building, breaking that down and understanding and maybe even having a game plan as we wrap this part of the conversation up. And when we look at history is always not on my side when it comes to money, property, or my equivalent of being equal. What makes this any different?
Are you, as you were
Is that
talking?
a good question? What makes this any different than what we've seen?
When you say this, what is this?
I'm talking about these folks trying to take care of their property, their homes, their management of who they are, and moving forward. This is litigation that's uncalled for.
Right. I had, inside of my book, I wrote that one of the directors of Common Ground at one point had told me that he was told from within side of the upper echelons of who makes political decisions in the city that the lower Ninth Ward was going to be forced to rebuild on their own and that they wouldn't really receive much assistance. And so what that meant is that homeowners were going to have to fight with insurance companies. They were going to have to fight for the right to return and even have a neighborhood. They were going to have to look for beneficent people to come and assist them. They were going to have to fight contractor fraud. And I feel like this is more of the same because we know then that means people who had already been historically disenfranchised and denied, that they were then going to be even further away from the ability to rebuild. They were going to continue inside of this process of having to fight for what others can do more easily. And then because people didn't have the chance to return or rebuild or to heal, or just even the fact that people are still going through this process of still having to rebuild, means that there are others who still have an advantage over them monetarily, when it comes to time, when it comes to the ability to recover. And now they're going to be losing their property, is what Suzette just said. There's going to be forced gentrification to take place against these people. And so it's truly sad. And it's also, I don't think it's just a knock on Brad Pitt or Make It Right.
No, I think he's a scapegoat.
Or the mayor's program. The issue is that it is something that we all share in common, because the federal government, the state government, the city politicians did not prioritize the hardest area being rebuilt. And those people are the people who needed the most assistance. So to say that, was it $120 billion came into this city, and the area that was the most harmed is not the area that was prioritized, then what happened? As a society, we have let down the people who were the most hit and the most marginalized, to the point where 20 years later, they are still being further marginalized.
I was talking to Suzette about I guess more so than anything else, when the phone rings and I hear these folks call in, and as we're having these conversations about the landfill, or having these conversations with people that say, and look, I'm 60 years old, but hearing these folks sit there and say, I don't think that I'm gonna be alive when, if ever, this thing pays out. My mom's already dead, and it happened to her.
Right.
It didn't happen to these folks that's calling. I think it's a shame in America when we have money to go 60 billion to go bomb Iran, but we're not taking care of our own people. How does that change? And I don't want to hear the bipartisan politic conversation from these fools, because I'm like, y'all are just warmongers.
No, there has to be a redistribution of wealth, and we also have to stop funding wars. Because what the State Department and the Department of Defense does is it just sucks. I'm sorry. And even that. But what the Department of War does is it sucks up all of the other money. So when they go and they start cutting social programs and cutting people off of Medicaid and all of that, they're using that money. They're going to reappropriate that money. That money is going to wind up going toward independent contracts. It's going to wind up with weaponized drones. It's going to wind up, bombing Iranian school children inside of it's going to go toward bombing Palestine. That money is going to be used. But what we have to do is reverse, I guess, the fear that people feel around polarizing themselves around people who are other than them. And I think that is like a root issue, is that we have to stop being able to make people our enemies and then funding the destruction of the enemies. We have to stop that. Every single war front comes around when they start othering people. It could be the Native Americans. It can be the war on drugs. It can be Iranian schoolgirls. They just other people, and they make folks so scared that then they're willing to drop tremendous amounts of money on killing people and war. And what we need to do is move those funds around to help our quality of life. We give the country that shall not be named a lot of money, and their people wind up with free education, free health care. And look at our citizens. We're supposedly one of the wealthiest nations inside of the world, and yet our people do not have free health care, free college education to a certain level, housing. Why is it that we are cutting off medical services for people as opposed to giving more people? Why are we not expanding our medical net to be able to include more people? We are literally at the point of penny pitching and cutting people off and making it so that people who have cancer have to work 40 hours a week or they lose their medical care. Like that's ridiculous. It's about priorities.
You want to add on to that? Because I did kind of throw you in there too.
Well, I just think that the most likely outcome of this Brad Pitt case is a negotiated settlement funded primarily through insurance companies for the contractors, the subcontractors, and the suppliers, but only after the court rules in favor of the plaintiff class on certification and the parties complete meaningful merits-based discovery.
So this ends up being a settlement instead of dragging out through.
I don't think it's going to be tried.
Okay.
I just think he's going to have to shift his strategy a little bit, stop focusing upon Brad Pitt and his celebrity as much, and focus upon the money that's right in front of his face in terms of the people who actually put the nuts and bolts into these houses. I do think that Brad Pitt will contribute to the settlement, but I don't think leaning on his celebrity gets him there. I do believe that this class is going to be certified. I think it should be certified. I think that Judge Jupiter, who is a scholar, in my opinion, will be able to look at the record and see that, you know, all of these houses were built by the same company, using the same contractors, subs, and materials, and therefore it creates common issues of law and fact, which inure to the benefit of it proceeding as a class action. Likely the same witnesses and evidence will be necessary for the trial of each case. Therefore, it should be a class. So I think he's going to prevail on the class certification hearing, and I think he can stack insurance policies for the various groups of defendants to make a meaningful settlement for these people. I think they will receive some sort of recovery in the end if they shift their focus a little bit.
That $25,000 payout.
It's why are we talking about it? There is no $25,000 payment.
Right.
There was no $20 million
No.
settlement.
I wanna kind of put it into. There was no settlement, yes, but as we saw that in the article, that was pie in the sky. $25,000 was that for? But that couldn't have been for.
That would have been per person.
But that would have been per person. Was that for their
per household?
Was that for what was inside of the house, or was that for totally your payments?
That was totally your payment.
It would have been towards your repairs the money you spent on repairs to date is what the settlement seemed to be. But it also was a partial settlement. It wasn't like he was trying to globally settle with all defendants for $20.5 million. He was trying to settle with that one defendant, Global Green, for $20.5 million. And I would think that Ron's mindset was that he'd get the $20.5 million from that one defendant and then utilize that as leverage to negotiate settlements with the others, is what I think he might have been thinking when he was doing that.
That just doesn't seem a lot for those folks.
It was a partial settlement.
Right.
And
you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip.
You sure tried.
Okay? The deal is people have a limited amount of insurance in the real world, and you can likely get paid when you're going after the insurance. When you start trying to seize money from people personally above their insurance, it doesn't always work out well.
So going after Brad was a mistake.
I'm not saying it was a mistake. I mean, you first of all, Brad is an intricate part of what occurred there, an integral part of what occurred there. I don't think you could have brought the suit and left him out of it. I think that he needed to be in the suit. Mm-hmm. But do I think he is the defendant that you should be leading with? No. And you should be building the entire theory of your case around his celebrity and his celebrity involvement? No, I don't think that's a great strategy. I think a better strategy is to say he was just part of the story, part of what occurred, but these other defendants also played a meaningful part in how we get here at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I think his strategy should be moving forward.
Well, ladies, interesting conversation. Very interesting conversation. So I appreciate both of you. Welcome home.
Thank you, G.
Always good with the attorney, of course, because she made me think. That's going to wrap things up for us. We'll be back on tomorrow. Make sure that you join us from 4 until 6. For all of our folks that are listening and you were trying to listen on the AM, we've been informed by Entergy that a transformer went down in that area. So, of course, it cut the power off to the transmitter. But you can listen to us on 107.1 FM or come on Facebook or listen to us on our website. Other than that, we will see you tomorrow right here at WBOK.